Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 75. Got a lot to talk about, including sports talk, the NFL Divisional recap of the playoffs, in previewing the AFC and NFC championships this weekend. Locally, relevant Pirate talk about a trade on Joe Musgrove and what this means for the franchise. Undertaker was on Joe Rogan's podcast, so just give our thoughts about what we thought about it, and I'll say the king of UFC pay-per-view buys right here, Conor McGregor. That's hyperbole, but show me an exaggeration. Show me an example when it's not.
It's not wrong. Look at all.
Yeah.
Look at all of the top UFC pay-per-view buys, and he's up there.
Yeah, and so we'll talk about Conor McGregor. He's coming back at UFC 257 later. Actually, is it Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
weekend, man.
It's tonight, actually, when you're watching this, hopefully.
Yeah.
That threw me off. First off, I can't believe it's January 21st already. It doesn't seem like it's that late. So that's throwing me way off. But anyways, the first thing we want to discuss, Marvel has their new Disney Plus series, WandaVision. They released the first two episodes last Friday, with the third one yesterday. But as we're recording this is Thursday, so we didn't get to see the third one. So we're talking about the first two. John, what do you think? Because when I asked you about this earlier in the week, you didn't see it yet. But
full disclosure, I was really putting this off for a while, just based on all of the trailers and probably for the last 10 to 15 years, I haven't been a really big fan of sitcoms. So that kind of was like,
you call me.
Yeah. So I was kind of not exactly looking forward to this, and to a certain extent I was kind of right, because it just was a hard watch for me, just for that specifically. However, when they were introducing other things such as a Wanda, it's just like losing her freaking mind in spurts there. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I'm the opposite of you in terms of the sitcom aspect, because I like the odes to the old, black and white sitcoms. There's like Bewitched. I think they kind of spoofed. Just the typical openings of those sitcoms. So I appreciate everything on those was done to a T. If obviously if it wasn't Marvel, you could see it was a sitcom, because the way everybody spoke, people acted, how the women acted, how the men acted, dressed, and all that. I think they nailed that to a T. And obviously, as we go on, even if you look at the trailers, it progresses through time, so it's going to get closer to present day. I think at the end of the second one, it went color. So we're going through time, and I like. And it's interesting because you kind of know the premise of what was going on, but when they start, you don't know what's going on. They don't they're spoon feeding or dripping, whatever the saying is, details. In the beginning, at least in the first episode, I think it's all happy-go-lucky, more sitcom, and then when it really gets the first clue something's not right, obviously we know it's not right, is the date on the calendar. They're in the kitchen with August 23rd, whatever, 23rd of August.
Something like
And
that.
they don't know, like Vision doesn't know the date. Like,
Mhm.
you know, something's off. And then what really it gets it like that weird feeling is when they're at the dinner table with his boss and he chokes, and his wife, I think, is facing, looking at Wanda and going, "Stop it, stop it!" Like it's all like joking around, and it gets really serious, and then Wanda just goes to Vision, like, "Help him, like, like okay, do it,
Mhm.
fix this, and let's get on
Well,
with it."
between that and I think it was in episode 2 when she's outside and how like toy
Yeah,
helicopter is the only
thing in
thing in the
color.
whole scene. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the only thing in color.
they had
And
then
then
the beekeeper
yeah,
at
the
the end.
beekeeper.
Um,
Yeah, and even like when she was talking with her with her neighbors at that weird gathering, and like um looked like you could tell that like it was getting really it was getting really tense,
yeah,
um and to where like you could see she's just losing control more and more of everything that is going on,
yeah.
and that there is specifically what I am really
And
interested
yeah,
in right there.
it's a show that with the details, but with the, I don't say the fluff around it, the cover of everything,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
little things they throw in, like the story details. I think the slow, I think the slow drip is good because if it's a limited season, you know, it's not like
Mhm,
20 a regular sitcom 22 whatever. So you
mhm.
slowly drip feed, and I think it's well done. I totally forgot. I guess it was shown at the end of Spider-Man. It's not Shield. It's not Steam. Crap. That I guess there's people watching Wanda,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah,
forget.
like
It's, oh my
I
god.
think
I gotta
yeah,
look
like
that up.
she's like in some like alternate like
Like they can
like she
monitor
created yeah,
her
yeah,
world.
right, and like she basically created her own little
Yeah, I think
universe.
right
She
after.
is so
Yeah,
she is so powerful that she could pretty much just like do this at like her will. So like this, I mean, and just thinking about the timeline, Matt, this has to be right after
I think.
Endgame, right?
Yeah, I think
Has to be
the
right
the
after.
lady, the actress that's playing, um, I forget the character, um, that was in the older version of the black lady in the show. I forget her name. I gotta find it. Who is playing, I
Yeah,
believe, the older
yeah.
version of the girl from
Her like
Captain
neighbor.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it.
Oh, that's
I
her.
think that's
Oh,
yeah. I think that's who that is. I think it's
huh.
confirmed that people are saying that's who that is. I don't know if it's confirmed,
Yeah.
but like I there was I think it's confirmed if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Well, that makes sense because I think Captain Marvel, when that film happened, that was like back in the 90s or something, right? Yeah, because
Yeah, because it's, I'm looking at Wikipedia.
yeah,
It's Tyrona Parish. I think confirmed it happens at the end of Endgame. I think is Monica Rambeau, um, daughter of Air Force pilot Maria Rambeau, and agent of there the Sword,
so yeah,
Sentinel Weapon Observation Response Division. Uh, yeah, so I think, yeah, so as a child, she looked up to her mother's friend Carly Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Uh,
and and this sword is this also, I believe this is also headed by like a Nick Fury too, right?
Sword, I believe so. Let me. I
I'm
gotta
pretty
look that
sure
up
that is.
because I totally
I'm
forgot
pretty
about
sure.
Sword.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I gotta look what this is.
Well,
Yeah. So
well,
it's all. Yeah.
and two. Speaking of them, you saw their emblems pretty much
Yeah.
everywhere
On the
on both
beekeeper. Yeah. Yeah.
on the beekeeper, on the like helicopter. You saw there. And I want to say that there were a few other instances where they had their emblems there, but it's going to be interesting to just to see how how much that this is just going to slowly just like just like break Wanda, because you were even seeing like characters in there were just like, you know what are you doing, and like and like someone put this very specifically. She's both a heel and both a baby face in this in this whole thing. She's like the freaking, the person you want to feel sympathy for, but the person you kind of want to hate, just because like she's involving everyone in her own world, just because she can't really deal with everything that's going on in the original universe there.
Yeah, because I think I forgot this. I'm reading this to as we go, to kind of refresh my brain. I think Sword, because at the end of the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home, Nick Fury and a group of Skrulls operate off a space station reminiscent of Sword Base, which I think Sword is like the space counterpart of Shield, I think. But I don't think it's confirmed. So maybe that has to do with stuff. And again, in the comics, I think Sword had some, and this could go down the line here with some stuff with X-Men. So there's connections in the comics with Sword and the X-Men.
Yeah, so. Actually, I think I want to say that this is like probably the beginning of them trying to introduce some of those characters into this universe as well.
There is.
Yeah, because because there's an obvious.
Yeah, there's
an obvious connection there. So
that you can go off of, and it's not. It's not as I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not. It's you have stuff to go off of.
Well, into another thing that was kind of funny too and awkward was Wanda and Vision being a part of a like talent show.
And he was all messed up because he ate gum.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this has to be awkward because as like, Vision, he doesn't eat, he doesn't drink,
I totally forgot about that. He's obviously a robot.
He's a like robot, like android, whatever you want to call him.
Android's probably a better.
Yeah, so it's like that was just pretty funny how that turned out, and but yeah, so
this article here goes, to his death, Vision has no memories of anything past Avengers Infinity War and WandaVision, including the tragic death of his creator Iron Man. I totally think of that. Like I totally would forget about that. So he's probably just off and doesn't know. So she's trying to just. I wonder. See, I'm curious if I think he would know that they're not. Excuse me, in like regular life.
Yeah, you would think that like he would, and like he just doesn't want to tell. He doesn't.
Or I thought it was the other way that she. No, I thought it was she wants to make perfect life for him, and then she doesn't want to tell him that Tony Stark's dead.
Yeah,
because that's his creation.
I also think too she also wants to actually have like children, which they are definitely teasing that. Which I believe that their children are actually part of the X-Men, if I'm not mistaken. So that part is going to be interesting because in the comics, they were their children were a very big part of the like Marvel of the Marvel universe. So very interested to see how fast that they accelerate all of this timeline here, because I believe in episode 1 they were probably in the 60s,
something like that.
Yeah, episode 2 was probably more of the 70s, I would imagine. Episode 3 will be more in the 80s.
It might be in this, because it might be 50s, 60s. It might be, I think. Okay, 70s. I'm trying because I kind of saw something 70s because it got colored because it was colored in the 70s.
Yeah. So So yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting things that I'm looking forward to on the show, and I believe that there is episodes this season. So obviously we have what about like five or six more here.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see where all that is going on. But anything more to add here, Matt? Before
No,
we
I was kind of quickly going through
uh
um, any Easter eggs and stuff uh, that there was here. Um, I think there one Cole. I totally forgot about this character, and the one like I think opening stuff, the animated one, like the Bewitched. I forget what episode it was. Episode 2. They had the drawings. I think underneath, it's like in between the pipes. There's a cut cross section of I guess the second and the first floor,
yeah.
and there's a picture here. Looks like the helmet of the character Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
If they just throw it in there. What's the beekeeper here? Apparently the beekeeper's helmet, I guess, similarly worn by underlings of AIM, the Advanced Idea Mechanics. I guess an offshoot of Hydra. I guess that it was the main threat of Iron Man 3. Maybe, and in this article saying maybe it's not at literal or not, but so there's a ton of stuff in there. But I'm interested to see tomorrow, as we're recording this, we'll watch it at some point tomorrow morning, and see how things progress. Because this is one of those, like, they were talking about the date. I'm like, I feel stupid. Should I know what that date is from past movies? And the beekeeper, I'm like, should I know this? Should I know that sign? I felt dumb, but hopefully they fill stuff in more, and then because I always look up stuff afterwards, anyways, and be like, okay,
yeah,
what's these
referencing?
referencing?
I mean, like we can speculate that could be the date that Thanos just annihilated Vision. That could be when,
Or
yeah, I mean,
or because they seemed happy about an anniversary, either dead or when he comes back.
yeah,
One of the two.
Yeah, has to be. So yeah, we shall find out.
Yeah. Because they were talking about the boss's wife about an anniversary, and Wanda was kind of vague. She goes, "Yeah, it's kind of an anniversary." Yeah, they're all vague about that. So I'm going to say it's one of those two. With the heart on it, I'm going to assume either when he comes back or when they first meet.
Yeah,
one of the two. I don't think she would have drawn a heart when they got snapped.
Yeah, that's true. We'll find out. But now it's on to some NFL talk. We're gonna just recap real quickly the NFL divisional weekend. We saw the Packers defeat the LA Rams, which like that game wasn't really all that competitive. We saw the Kansas City Chiefs barely scrape by the Cleveland Browns after Patrick Mahomes sustained a concussion, I believe, in the third quarter. We saw the Baltimore Ravens defeat the Tennessee Titans, sorry. We saw like they did in the wild card round, but the Buffalo Bills defeated the like Baltimore Ravens, and then we saw the Tampa Bay Bucks defeat the Saints. So now, Matt, we have the Packers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buffalo Bills versus a Kansas City Chiefs. And I could tell you, I am excited for both of these games here.
Yes.
I feel like that this is arguably one of the better championship weekends that I can recall. I mean, to me,
Each game's only 3-point favorite.
Right. And to me, I think you can make an argument. These are probably the four best teams. Probably the only other team you could probably say maybe with the Saints, but I tell you, and just going over with those games from last weekend, I was really scared for the Chiefs because once Patrick Mahomes goes down, all bets are off. And up until that point, Matt, I thought that they were going to score around 35 or 40 points. Like that Cleveland defense could not stop Mahomes. But obviously he sustains that injury, and then Cleveland, they just kept on sustaining drives, and that Kansas City defense was just getting annihilated in the second half. But man, Chad Henne makes an incredible third down run, and then they obviously had that like fourth down conversion, which fooled everyone, and even Tony Romo. He was like, hey guys, there is no way they are snapping this. There is no way that they are snapping this. And Reed, he says hike it, and they throw a pass out in the flat to Tyreek Hill. Game over, and Cleveland's hearts are broken yet again. A very typical Cleveland way for them to lose there. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, any typical. I mean, a more typical one would be if they had a lead and then blew it late.
Yeah,
but it was a closer game than kind of expected. The end, obviously, with Mahomes going down, he's going to be the key. Sunday.
Yeah, and
if he
I
plays, I'm going to assume if he's okay, he'll play.
I think even if he's healthy, Matt, that game is not an easy game for the Kansas City Chiefs because, we have seen them for like the last 6 or 7 weeks. They have been in a lot of really tight games. Like that Buffalo offense is going to be causing Kansas City some issues. I just like for how good that like Josh Allen is currently playing, it's going to be a dogfight there, and I'm expecting a very close game there. But speaking of them in that game against the Ravens, man, for the first half of that game was a pretty boring game if we're being perfectly honest. Just a really low scoring game. Had like Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals, which is almost unheard of. It just was a really ugly game. Lamar, he gets hurt in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and that was pretty much it. Although there were a few plays where they could have made it a little bit more interesting, but yeah, so a pretty crazy ending to that there, and the only other game that we didn't talk about was the
Bucks and Saints.
Yeah, was the Bucks and Saints, which man, Drew Brees, I'm hoping that this is it for him, because you could really tell in this game, Matt, just his arm is completely just like not there. So he turned it over 4 times, which in any game, picks. Like 3 picks. So just a very ugly performance. And to be perfectly honest, too, Tom, he didn't exactly play fantastic either, but he made the necessary plays in order for them to actually win.
You could. It just felt like the Saints had just nothing going, no momentum at all. During that game,
and turnover after turnover after turnover.
It's just, and then the Bucks just did enough uh, and to win, and it wasn't the typical game you thought it was going to be.
No.
If this was 5 years ago, yeah, or even 2 years ago, but you know what I'm trying to say, at least in terms with Breeze, just playing, it's just one of those things, you know, it happens to everybody. You just have that that moment of it's not happening anymore.
Nope.
Same thing happened with lesser extent, but officially retired is Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. So now there's currently only one quarterback left from that 2004 class. Yeah, at least for now, Big Ben is still going to play, which I mean and we talked about this already. If he does come back, this is it. I feel.
They're not signing him again.
I think if he does come back, he's going to come back on a lesser deal. Hell, even this week we even saw the team sign Dwayne Haskins, which, by the way, I'm going to say, guys, you need to freaking chill. There is zero guarantee he even makes.
Hey, he's on the practice squad.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah,
whatever it
is.
He signed a futures deal, which pretty much means he's going to be getting a invite for camp at least. But
it's an okay insurance policy for next year.
Right. Which I think, if anything, guarantees with a Josh Dobbs, he probably isn't coming back. But that's probably about it, because say if Ben retires, I don't think it really changes anything as far as their strategy is concerned. If there is a first round quarterback there that they like and feel like that they are going to take, they will absolutely take.
I feel like, I don't know, I'm no expert here, but I feel like, okay, that's hypothetically, well, regardless if Ben comes back or not, right? And especially this case, especially if Ben comes back, I would either beef up that offensive line through either free agency or draft, right? Have that offensive line, so when you do, maybe next offseason, if you do find that quarterback, a good quarterback, if it doesn't fall to you this year, you have that way you have an offensive a decent, hopefully, offensive line for your new quarterback, so you can at least help pass block, protect him, and then have, open up lanes for your running backs to run. So that way, maybe if you draft one now and Ben doesn't come back, your offensive line is not garbage. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Beef that up. Next year, depending on what happens, that's your transition period. Everybody's going to go, whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
See what you have, build that, and then get your quarterback and everything. Your base is in place, and they can do what they need to do without worrying about getting sacked every 5 seconds, or not be able to run the ball. Even though Ben didn't get sacked every 5 seconds, not be able to run the ball and then focus entirely on your rookie.
And I'm hoping that we actually get a good offensive coordinator, which that whole thing is going pretty crazy right now, because you heard earlier on Wednesday or on Thursday, hey, Matt Canada is going to be our new offensive coordinator, just going through the process according to them. It's a done deal. Okay. And then you hear, oh, hey, they are interviewing Hugh Jackson, and now they're interviewing the LA Chargers quarterback coach, Pep Hamilton, who was also a head coach for the Washington Defenders in the XFL last season before they had to close up shop because of COVID. So it's it's all pretty crazy, but I think they really need to get these things hammered out as far as our coaching staff is concerned. I'm hoping that they actually go with Pep Hamilton, just because I feel like he has more. Yeah, he definitely has more experience, first of all, and not to mention he has worked with guys such as Andrew Luck, who he performed pretty well under him.
I was gonna say it now, but I'm gonna say this under this context. I can already see the Twitter memes, tweets. We got this offense has a lot of pep. I already see it, and I'm mentally prepared for it.
Yeah. I already saw a few tweets.
I bet.
I'm like, shut the hell up.
It's always gonna happen. It always happens with any name that has any resemblance of a word we use in language. So it's interesting. It's like, because I swear, because you said Steve's earlier today, Steelers Twitter is fun, and I'm thinking, okay, it's probably the Haskins thing, and I saw the stuff about interviewing
Hugh Jackson.
I'm like, oh, that's new, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I saw something that Canada got the job or will get the job.
Pretty much, it was reported on Saturday by the NFL Network. Hey, Matt Canada is going to be the guy, or okay. But I did find it weird. I was like, okay, it's Monday and nothing officially announced. And then you heard on I think it was on Monday, according to Jerry Dulac, who said, hey, they want to put in an offensive line coach before they decide on the offensive coordinator, which makes sense. So I was like, okay, cool. And supposedly they are going after the former Detroit Lions offensive line coach, Hank Fraley, who supposedly is a front runner there. But so it's like you're hearing really conflicting information. So it's a very swiftly constantly changing story going on here. But man, I tell you, Matt, I swear, freaking Phil Pony and his hot takes on all of this are just some of the most insanely ridiculous things I've ever seen, and I just remind myself why he is always wrong about.
I felt like the same time. I felt like a part of it when he makes predictions that he's doing it on purpose now.
I swear he is just trolling us.
I swear, I after a while, I think I firmly believe he does this just to get people pissed off.
Because they are so insane now, where you can't even take them seriously.
I think he just does, and people and then people are falling for it, and he's probably sitting back laughing.
I'm like, guys, you have to know, it's completely.
It's like same thing with Mark Madden. He does it. And he does it and piss people off.
Triggers those die-hard Juju fans, man.
I sit back. Guys, I love it.
I'm like, guys, just stop tweeting at him.
After a while, I was mad, but then I'm like, no, he works for wrestling, so he's working people.
He's working you. Hell, just see him on a Pat McAfee show. It's he acts like a completely different person.
He makes the jokes, and he the way he's talking on there. There's no way.
There's no way that he believes any of that shit. So yeah. But,
I think I would say on the base of it, maybe he does, but to a lesser extent of him turning it up to a 10 just to piss people off.
Yeah, and I tell our friend Ryan on this. I'm like, dude, you have to know he's not really serious about this. He's
no,
it's completely fake. No, and I see him constantly tweeting on him. I'm like, dude, you're doing exactly what he wants you to freaking do here. Just stop. But hell, for us being like wrestling fans for so long, we kind of see this. So it's like, oh, it's so obvious that this is a complete work here. So, but yeah, so we're just gonna make our Super Bowl prediction here, Matt. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers here. Is that how you're
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning
well?
to. I could if Mahomes does not play,
That
then I can see the
like he
Bills.
doesn't play. Yeah,
I can
oh
see the
no,
Bills winning.
if he doesn't play, I'm going. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Like they're a completely different team
I will
without
go.
him.
I will if Mahomes not playing, money on the Bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Money on
That's
the
what I'm
Bills,
doing.
and
And
I would imagine that freaking line will change
I
drastically
think it will.
if
I think it would flip.
he's out.
I could
Has to.
see Bills. I would say the Bills minus. I think it would flip the Bills -3 just because they're playing away. Um, I think it would still be close. I could still see it be close. I see Packers Buccaneers being close. I know everybody's all high on the Packers, but I think maybe eventually Packers break away slightly near the end. I think the final score, but I think I just have this feeling it's going to be a relatively close game.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any sort of like major blowouts in these games.
No.
Just all four. The only game that I could possibly see that is with Tampa Bay and Green Bay, just because I think with the Packers they are playing so well right now. And to me, Tampa hasn't been particularly impressive in these playoffs, so I could definitely possibly see a blowout there.
They can throw the ball with they can match. They match pretty much even with Green Bay in points scored per game. I think in the playoffs, I think these stats are just for the playoffs with 30.8 for Tampa and 31.8 for Green Bay. Points allowed, it's close to, but Tampa Bay is 21.5. Green Bay's 18.
And I can promise you, Aaron Rodgers, he will not be turning it over 4 times in this game. So I think he's going to cause a secondary a lot of problems.
Yeah, they're giving up Tampa Bay nearly 300 yards average. I think in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And yards passing. Oh no, I take that back. I was reading the wrong thing. That's them. 248 pass yards allowed compared to 174 for Green Bay. Rush yards pretty much the same, 95 and 96. Green Bay has better numbers rushing on average, total yards, but that is relatively the same. So yeah, I think the key there is Aaron Rodgers in the secondary, like you said. If they can slow down Rodgers in any shape or form, it gets interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
At least
I don't
closer.
see that happening. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
It could be weird things, but I would say if there's a chance, if Rodgers is going to do his thing consistently, then I think it's going to be a long night for Tampa Bay. But we'll see. I think eventually, I think it's gonna start close, but we'll see what happens in that second half. But yeah, as of now, Green Bay, Kansas City to go back. Again, depending on Mahomes, I think he was practicing. Was he practicing?
Yeah, I don't think he was a full participant though. I think he's still going through the concussion protocol right now. So
if he's in, they have a better shot. They better protect him if he gets hit. If he gets hit,
which he was getting hit pretty often, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't think it's like Buffalo's they don't have the same um pass rushers that Cleveland did. So I think they will be okay there.
I mean, yeah,
But
it only takes one.
Only takes one. So but
Yeah,
we shall see.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting, but can't wait for those games. If I get to see most of them on Sunday.
Yeah, and something else I can wait for, Matt, is the return of Conor McGregor. He returns for the first time in over a full year. His last fight, Conor defeated Cowboy Cerrone, in this weekend, or tonight more specifically, he will be facing Dustin Poirier, who these two have fought before, which I think was back in 2015 or 2014, one of those years. Which like they were both fighting in the featherweight class, and obviously both of them are fighting at 155 now. I am really excited about this fight, and I definitely think that people are really sleeping on Dustin Poirier. I get Conor is a really good striker, but man, I mean, just with him, Poirier, he's a really hard fighter, a really tough fighter. He can take, he obviously can take a punch. Hell, if you saw his fight against Hooker, where Dan Hooker was giving him issues in the first 2 rounds, and after that Dustin just really overwhelmed him with his pressure and his tenacity. So I'm particularly interested in that fight, and also too on Saturday's co-main event be between Dan Hooker versus Michael Chandler, who with Chandler, this is going to be his first fight in the company, his first fight since signing over from Bellator. And as far as my picks here, Matt, I'm going to pick Conor's still, but I don't think this is going to be a first round knockout. I do think that this has a possibility to go a full 5 rounds. Because I think that both guys are extremely tough. However, and a question to be answered: if this does in fact go in, say rounds 3, 4, and 5, how is Conor's cardio going to be? It's always been a pretty big question.
Yeah, I looking on DraftKings, just some stats here. It's always interesting to look. Just fun facts here. Conor McGregor has won 7 of his last 8 UFC fights against opponents with a shorter reach by KO, TKO, or DQ. So he's favored of that finish minus 177. Conor McGregor has won each of his 8 previous UFC fights as a favorite against opponents with a shorter reach. So it goes with that. And each of Poirier's 3 previous UFC fights against southpaw opponents with a longer reach have ended in round 1.
Right, and and especially when he's facing mainly strikers, he's going to have a really good advantage. He's so awkward with his stand up, and guys have a really hard time in seeing his punches. And man, Conor, he has dynamite in his left hand, man, and it doesn't take much. We saw it against the fight with Eddie Alvarez. We saw it with Aldo, and many other guys. So he can very easily end this inside 1 round. But again, if you have seen Poirier, Poirier, the last 6 years, I believe the only other fight he has lost was a fight against like Michael Johnson and obviously against Habib. So it's a very intriguing fight. It's a very exciting fight, and I'm also interested to see how the crowd is going to be because if like you guys have been paying attention, from the hallway fight last Saturday, I think they had around like 5,000 fans there, which I would assume it's probably is going to be around that, and like man, even something as small as like 5,000 fans, it's a whole different atmosphere, and we kind of forgot about that. It's just it brings out a certain different element that we haven't seen in pretty much 10 or 11 months here, you know?
It seems like it adds some sort of normalcy. Obviously, it's not full arenas.
No.
Even like a WrestleMania here branch off is trying to have what they say couple 25,000 fans in the stadium. That's going to add. That's just going to be a welcome sight. And if they're all down below, which I assume they'll all be down, at least try to get the majority of them down below and ringside, that's going to add a different ambiance. It's going to be see if they pick it up, because you might lose. Only thing you might lose it with being outside sound, but that point being, just seeing actual people react in real time will be fun to see.
And man,
be fun to see with this fight too, obviously.
And speaking of like last Saturday, Max Holloway.
Jesus,
my God, that might have been the most impressive performance I have ever seen from a fighter ever. This man literally threw over 700 strikes, and I think he hit like 450 of them. How Calvin Kattar did not get like finished, or why his corner did not throw in that towel, is beyond me. But man, like, that man took a freaking ass kicking. I'm hoping that he definitely takes some time away here just to like heal up, because man, that was just devastating. It's just how badly Max was just throwing, whether it was elbows, punches, knees, kicks, like it was just coming from every direction, every part of his freaking body that you can imagine there. It was just a sight to behold him.
Oh, it was so fun to watch.
And the funniest part about that fight, Matt, was when he's talking trash like commentary, he throws a freaking like no look punch to Calvin, hits him right in the face. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So like that, like, and to perfect timing for that fight, Matt. That was actually UFC's first like fight card on ABC, which, I mean, like, perfect timing for that, because man, that was just a tremendous fight. Had just a super fun time, and how this was happening right as the NFL games were going on too. So it was like they had to really bring it if they wanted to keep people somewhat tuned in there. So yeah, that was really damn exciting there. So yeah, I'm guessing, are you going with like Conor to
I will go with Conor. I just never feel comfortable betting against him.
Unless his name is Habib.
Yes,
obviously, but
yes.
I feel the same way too.
Yeah, I mean, could he lose? Yeah, but I just never feel comfortable. Like, I mean, I wouldn't put against anybody betting against him, but like, That's one of those. It's like, yeah. I just know it'd probably be a good fight. I don't know. I don't think it would go the distance. I don't think it's going to end the first round. I think it's going to
round
be
3, round 4. I think is probably.
Yeah, I say 3. I think the first one's going to be that filling out process. Maybe they go balls to the wall there, and the crowd gets amped. But I think maybe somebody might survive or what have you. But I don't think anybody goes down. I think maybe second, maybe early, maybe. But like I'm just envisioning maybe like it's close, like oh my god, but nobody really. Goes maybe Conor gets on the have a phrase get on the ropes a little bit and you're like but maybe and then that third round I could see like you said Conor just like does his thing
which he typically does.
I just don't feel confident saying it goes to a decision with those two.
And some other fights I'm going to be paying attention to. Obviously, I'm Hooker versus Chandler. I'm going to go with like Michael Chandler here, although this is going to be a really close fight. Honestly, pretty much a toss-up here. I'm kind of expecting like
very close.
Like it's really close. Both guys are really, really tough guys, and like Hooker is a very seasoned guy. Is like long as hell. I mean, hell, if you have seen his fights against like Poirier, if you've seen his fights against like Paul Felder, he comes in there to freaking bang, and he does that pretty much every single fight that he's in. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect here. Like I could see this ending in like round 1, but I could also see it. I could also see it go about 3 rounds. So we will definitely see how that goes.
Yeah. Any fun facts here? The thing was Dan Hooker has won 7 of his last 9 UFC fights, but slight favorite at 134 minus 134.
Right.
So it's really, I think, really close. See what the betting trend says.
And like Matt, another fighter I want you to pay attention to is Amanda Hebos. Amanda Hebos. She is going to be on the first fight of the main card. This woman here, Matt. I tell you, definitely keep a eye on her. I feel like she's a potential champion in this class here at like 115, and like I kind of have like dubbed her as the MMA version of like Bailey when like Bailey was just like first was in NXT. She's just always happy, always like go lucky sort of a personality there. So like and but outside of that, like she is a savage. Like just like her fight, I think when she just destroyed poor Paige Van Zant, it was not pretty. So it just like she has a pretty face, but man, she can fight, and I'm definitely excited to see what she does, and a like win here will definitely get her further up in the rankings there. So yeah, I'm very excited about this card this weekend. It should be a fun weekend of fights there, Matt. And now we're going to move on to some baseball talk, Matt.
Yes.
And this is regarding the Pittsburgh Pirates, who traded away Joe Musgrove, who the Pirates acquired in the Garrett Cole deal. I want to say that was back in 2017, 2016, something like that. And man,
I think not 16 because we just came off of we still had it. Might have been the Cole trade.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't it
2017?
I thought it was 18. I thought it was 17, 18.
18.
Because I didn't think it was that long ago.
okay. So like more so for 2018. I pretty much knew that this was coming. I just didn't know when that this was going to happen. But man, honestly, man, and even before this trade, I was really impressed with like Charrington and the job that he's doing. We finally have a direction with this team, which is something that I've been begging for the last three years. It's like, hey, we're not contenders. Let's just tear this thing down and just start from like scratch here, and we are definitely are doing that here. Because now, yeah, because now, I mean, as you look at this farm system, it's getting more and more it's getting more and more younger, first of all, and number two,
higher ranked prospects. Because you got five, I think five decent ranked prospects from Padres and one from the Mets. A three-way deal. Mm-hmm. More that he got from from Cole,
which is amazing to me. Which I'm not sure if that's like which just baffles me, because it's like like Cole, he wasn't awesome when we dealt him at the time, but even now with like Musgrave, do you think we could have gotten at least a better return on that? But here, I mean, hell, like I was shocked that we got as many guys as we did in this deal. Like I thought, okay, maybe like three guys tops.
I was thinking like two.
Right, and because if you recall from the starting Marte deal, they got like two guys who were like 19 and 20 years old. You're like, okay, that's probably something similar that we're probably are going to get, but no, like we got five guys, which was headlined by like Hunter Head, and there were so many head puns, which was the first guy I thought of was like Al Snow. What does everyone want? Head. I am here for all other freaking head memes. And
what does everybody need?
The funniest thing though was one Pirate fan said, "This better be some good head."
Well, I'm not going to comment on that.
I was like, oh, I can't believe that someone's actually said that.
I think everybody was freaking out, raging because the Pirates were getting rid of everybody, and they have room to be upset with how things have gone. I'll say that. I'm trying to be nice. Obviously. Because I kind of worked there in the summer. But at this point, like, people are upset. Why are you getting rid of everybody?
Because we suck. That's why.
I didn't say anything. What were your expectations going into the season? Right, you were going into the season. Oh, they're not going to be good anyways. So why? What's the difference if they are selling to rebuild the farm system, which they need and how they have to?
Well, yeah, like
build a team. So if you do get one to trade, you have pieces to trade instead of trading for.
Right. Well, and two,
you have to. It sucks. We may have to wait a couple more years. We always feel like that's happening, but you have. You have to.
I would rather
right now.
I would rather us completely suck for say 2 or 3 seasons, and then have the possibility at being extremely good.
Well, look at Houston.
Houston and
they were in other division. Tampa.
And Tampa.
I don't know the payroll of the Padres, but look at the Padres.
They are the perfect example.
They're stacked.
Right,
they're released pitching.
Stacked.
They got Tatis Jr.
Right. What is going to keep this team from staying competitive? They need to scout well. They need to be
draft
able
well.
to develop their own prospects.
And I want to give this regime a chance of drafting and building stuff, because there was criticism with the last regime of player development. Because how many times, and it's getting negative here, how many times somebody would come up, all the potential, be decent, right?
Gregory Polanco.
I'm gonna go Cole and Morton, and then we trade away, and Cole is like making a ton of money, pitching, being like one of the top pitchers in the game, regarded nationally as an ace, you could say.
And like Charlie Morton is a
game
very
7.
good. Yeah, exactly. He's a very good. He's very good 2 or 3 in any sort of a rotation now. It's just
I mean, it was good for us, and he kind of dropped off, and then when he left, everybody was like, good riddance, right? And then when he
I was
probably one as a fan. And then he goes to Houston.
Here.
Well, at the tail end, he did start, our playoff run. He was against St. Louis, and he gave up 2 runs in game 4. It was a 2-1 win for St. Louis. I mean, you give up only 2 runs, you give yourself a chance. Against St. Louis and their hitters at the time back in 13, like that's what else can you ask for?
Not much.
Right. You get 2, you have a chance to win. It's up for the offense, and the offense, they just ran into Michael Wacha at the time. But
notorious pirate killer.
Michael Wacha. It was early years. But you kind of have to do it. In summary, hopefully, like I said, give him the chance, this regime,
and
hopefully
to
build.
Right.
It sucks. It's like, we got again wait, but what are you gonna do?
Right. Exactly. And as you look at their current top guys right now, Nick Gonzalez, Key, Brian Hayes, who is going to be our opening day third baseman.
Yep.
O'Neal Cruz, I would anticipate he's probably is going to be called up sometime this season. So like you have a lot of like very young guys, because someone said this, I believe it was on DK Sports, where they kind of said, hey, if you saw the Pirates pretty much when like Huntington was here in his following season, all other top guys, they were like 23, 24, and 25 years old. And like now, Matt, if like you look at the top 10 right now, outside of Hayes and Travis Swaggerty, everyone is 22 years old or younger. So it's a very young system, which is probably is a good thing right now. And it's going to take some time, especially when a ton of these guys are still in like in single A or in like rookie ball here still. So it's going to be a gradual process here. And you know what? I'm willing to be patient with these guys, just because now we at least know where this team is currently at and where they are going in where they are building to.
GM helped with Toronto and helped with Boston, albeit payrolls were different, especially in Boston.
And he was like notorious in building up their farm system. So, which is exactly the guy that we need. So I'm hoping though when it is time to finally invest into actually buy, that ownership will then be more aggressive rather than trying to basically stand pat. Because I feel like that was one of the errors that they made back in 2014, in 2015, in 2016, where
15, yeah,
right, where like that was it for them to try and like make their run, and they didn't do it. So I'm hoping,
especially after 15,
especially after 15,
that was the 98,
99 1 year,
98. If it was 99, we wouldn't have to. We wouldn't be.
Right.
Oh, I don't know what. I forget. No, what St. Louis was, what, 100?
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was 100, and then it was 98 and
Any
97.
other year.
Any other year, it's division winner. That's that division. That division was just stacked between the top us three and Cubs. Like, that was best division.
Insanely ridiculous. So and to close out this topic here, I'm very optimistic about this team. Obviously, for at least 2021, this team is going to be horrible. There's a very good chance we could possibly have the like first overall pick once again here. But I mean, like, I'm fine with that. Like, build. I mean, like, they might win only 60 or 65 games this season. It would not shock me, but I'm fine with that, just because we at least know where this team is trying to actually head at, and
there's still room for other moves. We'll see.
Exactly.
But
Frazier and Tyon are two guys that I'm currently looking at.
I don't know.
I think who could be traded here still. So,
possible, or at least you have. I don't know, with rotation, with Tyon maybe stay, and at least, if there's a trade option, depending on how his season goes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out, I don't know what his contract is, but if you're out of it, come the deadline, which it is what it is. If you're rebuilding, if he's up, I forget if it's a year or two left. I don't know. Why not? And he's putting up good numbers. Why not trade, and you get some good prospects too, and you build that up? I mean, why not? Like, it is what it is, and everybody can be like, "Oh, you're trading, you're going to sign him." I mean, at this point, if you start that farm system, you build that up. That's half the battle right there. I keep saying you have to. Like, welcome to. There's no salary cap. It's just not. It is what it is. That's the system you're being dealt. The cards you're being dealt. You got to play within the. There's no floor. Of. I don't know. It is what it is. So you have to. You have to play within the financials of the system.
Yep, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. All right, so for the final thing on the podcast this week, the Undertaker, he was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, which was a excellent listen there. Matt, did you hear
pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
All right. Initial thoughts on the conversation.
It's kind of what I expected. Just talking about them, Undertaker trading, getting in the business, little ins and outs of wrestling. When they talked about MMA, they talked about outdoor
Injuries.
stuff, injuries. That was a big part of it. Just like all the stuff he went through. Obviously, it wasn't going to go like highly in depth into wrestling, but the outskirts, if you will, of the business. I thought conversation. I thought it was going to be, for the most part, good listen. Let me get back in the frame here instead of leaning off. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I could definitely tell though when like Rogan was asking him about this about the steroid testing. Taker was kind of nervous about that. You could tell.
You can tell he was choosing his words.
Yeah, which hard to blame him, but like
and even talking about how the business today compared.
Right.
He was calling people today soft.
Yeah, which predictably people were taking that just way too seriously. I'm like, guys, he's a old school wrestler.
In the context of how he grew up and
exactly.
how the business changed, you can see that point. And
right, it's just like
I don't think it's not like you said everybody there sucks.
No, and like he didn't say that. He just said I think that people are. I mean, he definitely said people are definitely like way too entitled, which he isn't wrong about. He thought that like guys had it pretty easy because he even talked on there. It was hard for me to just even get my foot.
And sitting in the
door,
sitting in that lobby for like 6-8 months every Wednesday, getting trained with that guy, losing $2,000, and he got up and left.
Exactly. So it's just like,
now they have the PC or other wrestling schools, and you have
right.
Well, they did back to independence and stuff.
Yeah, and they're everywhere now, so it's much easier to at least be able to like get like trained. And something else that kind of surprised me though, Matt, he actually criticized the current WWE product, which kind of shocked me, just because as like he signed that freaking like huge that like huge Legends deal, which I just didn't think he was going to ever talk shit on the company. But he said, you know what, what I'm about to say is going to probably piss off some people, but it needs to like be said, which he definitely feels like that there's not enough edge on a product. It's too soft, which in some aspects I can agree with, but I do think
probably watches what we watch and has criticisms. Obviously he has more criticisms that are valid than we can ever say.
Money not wrong.
No, but like our critique of shows or our opinions weigh nothing compared to his. Or anybody in the business. I like to keep that perspective. But we have the fan perspective, and he's technically both. Now he didn't. It's not like he went on and just totally crapped the bed. It's a critique that needs to be said. I don't think it was him saying anything negative is not like a revolutionary thing. It's he was just saying something to be truthful, and you're never gonna see it if it was obviously when he was in character or anything produced by WWE. He's just being I don't say company man, but doing his thing, paying, not trashing it on a WWE made thing.
Well,
but it's not like, well, Vince sucks. He's just critiquing the show.
No, he won't ever say that, but like he'll be honest. He'll be like saying, "Hey, it's just like there are certain things about this show that aren't very good." Like, and how
he'll probably, if he hasn't, he's like one of those few people that could probably just like tell Vince how it is, and with no repercussions.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the few guys who can pretty much tell him to like
hey Vince, what are you doing?
Himself.
Hey Vince, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And because you build up that, as of life, you build up that relationship, be it business, personal, with somebody, and you get to that point where you can say stuff, and, and you may hate it, but you may hate to hear it, you might not like it initially, but you move on, and it's okay because you have that trust. But if I went up to Vince and went, "Hey, this sucks," he's gonna go, "Who the hell are you?"
Exactly.
I don't know you. You have no business critiquing a product that empire I built. And he's right. I mean, we can contribute and complain, but if you went up to him, you're like, "What? You? You're nobody."
Exactly.
It's not wrong.
No. And I'm sure he probably has a lot of other fans same opinions. It's, and more specifically on Monday nights, where it's just like like that shit just isn't even watchable there. So
yet here I am.
And some other things. Definitely he went in depth about his surgeries and how long that his hip had really been bothering him. Supposedly it was back when
2010. He said
no, like when it actually began like bother him. He said like, "Oh, that was happening when like he first signed with the company back in 1990." I'm like, Jesus.
Like, yeah, that's right. He said his hips were bad back, when he was young.
I was like, this man's pain. This man's pain's on like a threshold. It's just unlike any other person that I know, because I mean, the fact that he pretty much put that off for a good 20 years, and in 2010 he had his
first one, right?
Left one, he had his left one done, and he talked about his one shoulder and like his eye,
they had his two eye sockets.
Right.
I just went, like, Jesus. And the one he almost the bone spur was on the nerve. If he would have got close to being blinded, or at least, or losing an eye, I was like, Jesus Christ.
They were like, "Hey man, you need to go into surgery now," and the doctor told him, "Well, if you would have got hit there again, you would probably have been completely blind."
So I was like, Jesus, nobody. It's hard to now like to look back at anything Undertaker's done that you have a negative light and go, "Well, that sucked," but Jesus Christ, what you went through.
And he was really fortunate, and like just hearing and some of those we didn't even hear in past interviews or on his documentary too. Like, just I was like, Jesus, like that's
and it's
insane.
Just weird now. I've just seen him doing all these interviews, Taker, because 2 years ago, even that late, you see he would do nothing. If he did something, like, I just think if he was on the Tonight Show, he's in character. Like a brief appearance on Tonight Show, he's in character. He does stuff in character. You never see him just go on Joe Rogan or interviews with any other national media.
And like
even do the Stone Cold stuff.
And like it was funny with Rogan. He was shocked at how many days that he was pretty much working.
So like 250 a year. At least.
And
some of them were double.
Yeah, and that was what Taker was saying. He was like, people who don't know what we do, and just assumed, it's like fake shit, like
or it's just Monday and Friday.
Right. It's like, guys, no, like they are in a different, like, hell, back in the Hogan era, like they were pretty much working every single day.
They would you would tape like 3-4 weeks of shows at once, and then travel live events every day.
Every day, man.
New city.
And that was why like, you know, drug use was so rampant that day, back then, just because how some guys needed something to just
take the pain off,
to take the pain off, and when weed was pretty much not very illegal back then, like,
definitely not.
And if they caught you, like, the company would like fine you, and it's like, well, I can like lose that money, especially back then. So unfortunately, a lot of guys were resorted to like alcohol and cocaine and
drugs,
other prescription drugs and steroids, which it was very, very, very prevalent back then.
Drug use back in the day was just like, it was common.
Oh, well, especially back then, and not just like wrestling, but in like baseball and football and basketball, everything. Like it was everywhere, man. Like, so it wasn't just that. And I think like Rogan really understood a little bit better just how hard that life is, and I just don't think a lot of people really understand that, because even now, before COVID, like those guys were on the road still 150 dates per year.
I would think even more,
and probably more like 200. But
and then flying overseas for European tours, Saudi, Australia,
China, probably.
Japan, mostly to Japan, because China, I don't know if they've done a show in China.
No, I'm not sure if they have yet, but they have definitely been
signing people.
Have been signing people over there. So.
Just travel, and if depending on the star level, doing media and all that stuff, like Jesus. It's a grind, and so it's just a nice, interesting take and listen for people, particularly if a Rogan fan that are not really into wrestling, and Undertaker. Everybody pretty much knows the Undertaker,
right? Exactly, and there is probably like no one who holds as much respect and credibility as he does when it comes for that. So it's like, it's just, I'm hoping that with that podcast that a lot of the casual fans who don't really watch wrestling really know what that life is exactly like. But definitely go out of your way to definitely listen for this. They talked MMA. I'm hunting. I think they talked about that. A little bit about like politics, and just everything. I like Texas and everything. And at the very end, Taker's like, "Hey Joe, when like WrestleMania comes at like Dallas, you are coming."
Yeah.
and like Tony Hinchcliffe there, he was like, Taker, I've been trying to like get him to go many times.
If I do acid, I'll be there or something. Something about that. Like he's gotta go. He's gotta go sober. Go sober. Truly experience it.
Yeah, it was like, well, and like when like Taker showed him a picture of like WrestleMania 32.
Yeah.
Where we were at. He was shocked. He was like, holy shit, like he was pleasantly surprised at how many people were at that event. He was like, hey man, there is over 100,000 people there,
reportedly, allegedly.
Well, yeah, allegedly,
but still, it's crap ton of people.
exactly. He was like, we have everyone from all over, from like over 20 countries who come in for this event every single year. It's even if you don't like wrestling, like it's a experience that I can't really describe.
It's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle, which is why I like every like few years I always want to go back. It's just like it's even with the current product, if I'm completely shitting on it, it's still an amazing time, and it's definitely something I think that everyone should experience. But yeah, Matt, if you don't have anything else,
I was going to say real quick, because I think we had it. Did you watch any of the inauguration?
I didn't, but I was following along on them.
I would pretty much head on. It was, I mean, as it is almost every year, nice ceremony and all that, a day. But the biggest thing that came out of it, Bernie Sanders just sitting in that chair with the gloves. Oh my God, I kind of want to go as him like that for Halloween.
Like, it's like I never thought him just sitting down in a freaking chair.
I just saw one of those pictures and it take thought. There's a website, somebody shared it. If you could type in a location, an address, and I did it for my address, and it uses Google Street Map to put Bernie Sanders at the place. He was sitting. They had him sitting on my sidewalk outside my house. I had him outside of PNC Park. Yeah, just it's the greatest thing. There was one of him sitting in the somebody photoshopped him sitting in the penalty box in hockey next to Ryan Reeves with the thing. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I was like, jeez. Oh, they're great. Yeah. It's the best thing that came out of this inauguration. The biggest thing, Joe Rogan, Joe Biden's president. We got Bernie Sanders sitting in the chair,
and like he was the biggest guy who's coming out of that.
That's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders won. That's the greatest thing. But that's pretty much it for this episode 75. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and then thank you for anybody who I believe continuum here who watched, since my schedule's messed up, stuff with work. I believe. I don't know. It ain't stopping you from posting your own thoughts on the wrestling podcast this week.
Thank you to anyone who watched me completely burying AEW Dynamite, which I'm going to be probably recording that on Friday, sometime on Friday, and I'll probably post them either on Friday or Saturday. But yeah, this show felt my wrath. I'll just say that.
If I was on, it would. I would go.
This was the like 1 week. I wish we could just review that show just because.
I'm kind of upset by that. I no lie. I was anger, and I felt the anger in my chest watching it.
When I texted you on Wednesday, I was like, "Dude, this is
Wednesday."
Wednesday. It was like top three. I was like top three worst AEW shows I have ever watched.
And I was like, no way. Way.
Yes,
way.
Absolutely. And like pretty much,
I'm getting angry again.
Yep.
I don't know why. It's just a TV show. Don't know why. Anyways, you guys will concede John's reaction.
Are like wrestling fans. It's what we do.
Yeah. Maybe I'll stake in some reaction next week into somehow transition into next week's episode if hopefully it's better. But that's neither here nor there. So again, thanks for everybody for watching the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Please, that really helps the channel. So yeah, So we'll see you next week, every weekend, every Saturday at 3. The podcast drops. The wrestling reaction show every Friday. Normally we go live right after SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown, a little bit after 10. So keep a lookout for there. Again, we have John's reaction. So for John, and I'm Matt. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.